welcome to the Entrepreneur in You, Antero, Tormi, and Petrin series on entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Mike Kaysen. Today we have Davis Clute, who is the co-founder and CEO of Hickapop. Thanks for being here, Davis. How are you today?
Thank you, Mike. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I really appreciate you coming and sharing a little bit about what Hickapop is and about yourself and entrepreneurship in general.
It's an exciting topic. I love to promote it as much as I can.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about your background. Where are you from?
So born and raised here in the Bay Area, in the East Bay Area. So I went to De La Salle High School, and then I went to Stanford for university, so not too far as well. And then other than that, I've lived in the Bay Area essentially my whole life.
So what made you decide to start your own company?
Entrepreneurship was always fascinating to me. And in my family, there was a few entrepreneurs, so I grew up around it, which was an incredibly empowering thing to see at a young age and to grow up around, kind of the idea you could build anything you want. And I guess I realize I do well when I have freedom and have my own ability to construct whatever I want. So I do well without structure. I like learning just for its own sake, and I like guiding my own ship, so to speak. And so that was probably the personality trait that led to that. And then, of course, there were more some practical things, but in general.
I have a mentor who says entrepreneurship is recession-proof.
Interesting. I like that.
Because when you have a career, when you have a job, you always have to worry about getting fired. But when you're your own boss, you don't have to.
Exactly. And I think relating to that point as well, I read something interesting in a book recently that his point was if you learn skills about entrepreneurship and self-initiative, self-discipline, control about how to roll out a project, how to experiment with it, to your point, even if the economy collapsed tomorrow, if you know how to provide value, we will always value itself. Like no matter what happens, it will always be valuable, certain skills that you learn, whether it's networking with people, whether it's finding out what people find value in like a product, that will always be valuable. Even if we were trading cowrie shells instead of money, it would always be valuable.
Absolutely. So speaking of value, how did Hickapop come about?
So I started Hickapop about 4.5 years ago, I'd say. So I was a third year or a junior at Stanford. And I had family members who were in the baby products industry. So I grew up around product design, and I had seen a little bit about patents and such. I knew something about this industry. And honestly, it was my unfair advantage, and I pressed it. And I wanted to start a business. And so that's where I felt I had a little bit of a leg up and a competitive advantage. And so I figured that would be the most logical place to start.
Well, I know you have over 30 products on the shelves right now, right?
Yeah, so we have about 30 different products. For example, we sell bed rails, booster seats, a mattress for play yards, and actually for a crib as well. We don't sell necessarily food or consumable items like diapers maybe, but more so durable consumer goods. And that's the kind of stuff we sell.
So how do you bring a product to market?
It's a good question. It's a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, I'll look at competitors' products. I'll see what other people are selling, and I'll get a sense of what's going on in the market. Obviously, I talk to a lot of moms. I've had to literally reach out and find moms and dads to just talk to, just to figure out what hot products there are or what problems they're having. And sometimes you could have a product where you see a competitor's product, but there's a couple design flaws in it that irritate the customer. That would be on one end of the spectrum. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we've tried a couple products where there wasn't really a competitor out in the market. It was totally blue sky, and we just threw something up against the wall to see if customers liked it. And so that's kind of philosophically what goes on. And more practically, it's a lot of prototyping. That's the secret. It's just getting something in people's hands, even if it's cardboard and Sharpie and duct tape, just getting something in people's hands so they can so a real customer can give you real feedback about a real product. That's really the key in my mind, is prototype velocity.
Did you do this process with each one of your products, or did you learn the system over time?
It's definitely been a learning process. It has been a highly iterative learning process, and we've had products fail. We've had a couple products that we had a blackout curtain that it's hard to explain, but we tried a really unique design, a really kind of weird design, and I liked it, but it didn't work, and that's just part of the process. But it's definitely been trial and error, and understanding patience, understanding what it means to be patient and to roll out a product, not taking too long and spending years in development while you're gold plating it when you don't need to, but also just being patient and coming out with the product at the right time, neither too late nor too early. So it's been trial and error.
So you, your sister, your parents are sitting around the dinner table and you say, I have this idea. What's next?
In my mind, it's what's the quickest way you can get to market? What's the quickest way you can deliver one unit of value to somebody? And sometimes that's simplifying your product. I've literally done it with an electric carving knife, like a turkey carving knife and foam. Like took a block of foam and cut it with an electric carving knife just to get something. And that, what I'd say, is the first step, is just get a prototype into the customer's hand and get real feedback. But don't spend more resources than you need to test your initial assumptions. So hopefully a super slimmed down version of a product that maybe takes a couple days to build.
So what advice would you give to somebody who wants to run their own corporation?
A few things. I'll just talk stream of consciousness. One is think iteratively. Don't have a grandiose goal at first. I think you need to earn the right to be idealistic. And I think especially as a first-time entrepreneur, don't bite off more than you can chew. You need to swallow the elephant in bites, right? You can't do it all at once. And so you're not precluding the option. If you do a smaller goal now or a more manageable thing now, you're not precluding the option of doing something awesome and really fulfilling or societally beneficial later. You're not precluding that option. Just managing it. It's going to be a marathon, right? Entrepreneurship is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And so don't have these drastic expectations about how you're going to change the world in the first month, because then, as much as that might motivate you, the flip side of that is it can be very demotivating when you don't see progress. And so
You're talking about the skateboard theory.
exactly, in terms of like, and thank you for leading me into that. I love this kind of saying, if you want to build a car, you should first build a skateboard. Build a skateboard first, and then build a razor, and then a motorcycle, and then a Vespa, and then a car. That's a good way to do it. It kind of keeps your expectations manageable. It gives you some tangible success in the short term, and it teaches you some skills that you can learn later on. And really, that's the way to look at it, is that your first business isn't going to be what you end up doing long term. It might be like maybe for Zuckerberg, for Facebook, or Brian Chesky at Airbnb, but a lot of the times it's ultimately a step in a much longer term journey. So just keep it manageable and keep it fun. That's the other part, is keep it manageable as fun, because you see some progress. It's small, but you see success. And that's important. A lot of entrepreneurs, in my opinion, don't get that early.
It's interesting that you bring up Zuckerberg because in my mind, he's unsuccessful in being a CEO because he was so successful from the start. He never had to go through some of the challenges that you're talking about. He never really failed, and so you see him in Congress and testifying because he's made so many mistakes. There's the Social Network movie was all about one of those big mistakes. He just happens to have enough money now to be able to fix it. So it's almost like if you have enough money, you can fix any problem.
That's probably right. And I think even taking that point, I agree. And I think growing too fast isn't necessarily a good thing. We have this kind of sexy image of the entrepreneur who's just growing so fast and is on the cover of Forbes after 2 years and whatever. But I don't think that's healthy, actually. I think you don't learn a lot of lessons. You almost skip over too many things. You have to crawl before you can walk. You need to walk before you can run. You need to run before you can sprint, or however you want to say it. That to me is really important, is like learning. I even, to that point, I hear sometimes like, oh, I would love to run a large company. I think I'd be good at managing people, but they don't want to manage a team of 5 people or 10. It's like, look, you need before you manage a company of 10,000, you need to do well at doing 1,000, and before that 100, before that 10, and before that 1, which is yourself. You need to run your day-to-day life efficiently. So I think you're right, is fast growth, there is such thing as too fast, in the same way you can go too fast in a car. You don't want to redline it. You need to find what's sustainable for the long term.
What are some of your favorite business quotes?
I could talk for hours about this.
I know.
I'll just start from the bottom and work. No. So I like one quote. Jeff Bezos always says it, but I think it's actually a military quote, but it says, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And it's really, I cannot tell you how true that is. Sometimes you go so fast, you end up having to slow down and do it twice, and you end up taking more time. So again, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I think that permeates everything. That permeates how I run my life, how I run my relationships, how I run my business, everything about me. And I liked another quote from Warren Buffett. He said something like, oh, after 50 years, I haven't learned how to solve tough business problems. I've only learned how to prevent them. And that's why he's so rich, right? Is that's the way he thinks. And in kind of apropos to that, there's another quote where it's saying, I'm not in the firefighting business, I'm in the fire prevention business. And both of those quotes say, you want to solve problems before they come up. That's the only way to live life and build something sustainable for the long term, is solve it upstream. Solve the problem upstream so you don't have to deal with it downstream. It becomes more expensive to fix a defect as it travels downstream. There's a million other quotes. I like one where it says, don't look for examples to follow, but for solutions to create. And I think that's really smart as well, as a lot of times you have to create your own solutions out of thin air. And that's actually a very fun process. And a lot of times we actually know what we need. You may not have the self-confidence to drive it through, but we actually know that we need to create this solution out of thin air.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here, Davis. I really appreciate your time. It's always fun to talk to you. This has been another episode of An Entrepreneur and You. We'll see you next time.